but I understand that it takes a huge risk of destroying the world, because that,
destructive, or helped create the most destructive invention the world's ever known. That's the argument, right? That there's a race going on, that people understand that splitting the atom is possible, that nuclear weapons are feasible, and whoever gets them first is going to have a massive advantage. We got them first, and therefore, we became the preeminent superpower. But what if we didn't? What if Oppenheimer was a dummy? What if there was a bunch of knuckleheads working for the United States, and the Russians and the Germans and the Japanese were all working together, and they came up with something far better? Obviously, the Russians were against the Germans in that war, but you fit together any superpowers at the time. If they got together with their scientists and they figured out a nuclear bomb first and just dropped it on San Francisco, well, how much would the world be different now?
Yeah, in Russia, Stalin is a complicated figure.
Yes.
So he was on the side of the United States at the time.
But evil as fuck.
But evil. Yeah. And if he had nuclear weapons, it's a whole other discussion.
Yes.
And it's actually quite surprising to me that we got out of the 20th century alive.
Yeah. So
from a perspective of Oppenheimer, I think he probably wondered if we're going to destroy ourselves within the next decade, no matter what happens. When you have weapons that can destroy all of civilization, especially now with hydrogen bombs,
mm-hmm.
It's complicated to talk about anything like alien technology.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably. If I was an alien and I was paying attention to Earth, it's probably why I would visit. Yeah. I'd be like, these chimps are in this weird stage of evolution where they're still chimps. They're still behaving like territorial apes, but now they have nuclear technology. They have this very crude version of literally the power of the sun.
Well, that's what. Okay, so here's another hypothesis. They saw these destructive weapons, and so they actually, in Roswell, plant or whatever it is,
mm-hmm.
planted a piece of technology that we should figure out. There'll be an infinitely powerful generator of love versus destruction.
Mm.
So they're like, okay, these chimps are not going down the wrong path. Let us plant some stuff where they figure out how to be enlightened.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms. That's what
they did.
They
probably tried that.
Because they it's where, from their perspective, the chimps are like a nice video game, or like a chia pet where you watch them grow,
mm-hmm.
and they probably. That's what we would do if we encounter maybe like an ant colony, and we saw that the ant colony is destroying itself. Us from a scientific perspective, we'd want them to not become extinct. So we'd probably interfere in some way to try to prevent the ant colony from destroying itself.
Probably.
So that, as a curiosity, as a cosmic curiosity. It feels like Earth is a cosmic curiosity. From a perspective of an intelligent alien species, that's really interesting what's going on there. Let's see what's happening.
A friend of mine told me the story that he saw two mounds of fire ants.
Yeah.
And that he did this experiment where he took a bucket and he scooped up ants from one fire ant colony and scooped up ants from the other, and then dumped them on the opposite colonies and watched them fight to the death. And I was like, fuck, really? He goes, yeah, they instantaneously knew that those ants were from the wrong colony, and they just went to war.
And there's there's a few good books on ants. They have a collective intelligence.
Yeah.
Because we tend to think of individual ants, but
mm-hmm.
somehow as an organism together in the thousands of ants, millions of ants, there's somehow a collective emergence a collective intelligence that emerges. There's this whole field of computer science called ant colony optimization. If we just simulate nature-inspired optimization algorithms, they somehow figure out how to do stuff in an emergent way. Don't really understand it. We don't have mathematics to deal with, like, when you have a bunch of distributed organisms doing dumb stuff. Just looking at their neighbors, when you look at the system as a whole, intelligent stuff emerges. That's that. There's I don't. Do you know who Stephen Wolfram is?
No.
By any chance? Well, you know who Eric Weinstein is.
Yeah.
So there, Eric Weinstein is out of the million intelligent thing he does. He's also a mathematical physicist. So he has like that theory of everything that you've talked to him about, or he blew your mind with geometric unity.
Yeah.
There's another guy, really brilliant guy, Stephen Wolfram. He's a physicist. He created Wolfram Alpha that like everybody uses in high school for to do their homework in calculus.
Yeah, it is.
It's you can ask it a bunch of questions like how much does Joe Rogan weigh or something like that. Like it has this, I don't know if he knows about Joe Rogan, but it'd be interesting. Let's see. Anyways, it has like this huge knowledge base. Yeah, maybe it doesn't know individual people.
What is that? Oh, it's just.
But it's able to integrate it really well. So like it can do math on this information. That's a really important thing. So it can do like can calculate the average population of Austin because it has the information of the number of people, the number like area, all that, whatever. It's a really useful tool. We also came out with this Wolfram Physics project recently, where he describes. It's another theory of everything. Do you know what a theory of everything is? Mm-hmm. It's a unification of all the different laws of physics, so that with one theory you can describe everything that's happening around us. And the reason I bring that up because we're talking about ants. Stephen Wolfram's idea. He has this he has this model of the universe. That's this what's called the hypergraph. It's this really simple system that grows with a single rule. Like it expands. It starts from just a couple of points that are connected with a line, and then it grows with a simple rule. Just like ants interact really simply, this system grows, and his theory is that it can grow to create our entire universe. Like from it doesn't have a concept of space or time like we perceive it, the three-dimensional space and the fourth dimension of time, but all of that emerges within this system. We chimps are 1 in 10 to the 120 part of that incredible infrastructure that grows. And he mathematically describes the way this thing grows. We don't currently have good mathematics for modeling the way such systems grow. There's something called cellular automata where it's this really called game of life. Unfortunately, John Conway that created the game of life died recently from COVID. It describes this very simple system where from simple rules you can have incredible complexity. And it's a really cool idea that our universe started from basically one ant, and then or actually 2 ants, and then their interaction creates a system that's so incredibly complex even though the underlying rules are simple. We don't understand why the hell that happens. We humans, from the scientific perspective, we know how to describe a single system, the way an object moves. We don't have a math or even a science of describing how trillions of objects move when they interact simply with each other. We don't know how to do that, but that's what seems to happen. When you look at, we know how to, psychology can describe the behavior of a single human. What we don't have a science of is to describe what happens when a billion humans interact. I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but it's called a complexity, the study of complexity.
What is this, Jamie?
This is this is what hypergraph.
Yeah.
He started explanations of all this sort of stuff.
So if you look at any of those, if you zoom in on any of those graphs, in previous